artists, and former government officials reporting the factual truths in Afghanistan. Since the takeover of the Taliban, Afghan women are targeted, aimed at the cruelest forms of oppression and restriction to education, opportunity of development, and admittance to work and fundamental basic freedom. Our Afghan women are left hopeless. The Taliban are even forcing young girls as young as age 7 to marry their soldiers. Otherwise, their families will face execution. Women's rights, human rights, above all, freedom rights have been stripped away in Afghanistan by the Taliban. The Taliban were a terrorist organization, they are a terrorist organization, and they will always be a terrorist organization. Nothing has changed about them. The fact that for the last 20 years, they were terrorized Afghanistan and fought against the Afghan government and the international forces were precisely to preserve the very ideology and the grip on power that they had before. Taliban as a movement, as an ideology, and as an idea is flawed and not made for governance or to lead a country. It is easy for them to blow up a bridge, but they don't know what it takes to rebuild or maintain that bridge. And that can be applied to all aspects of society in which they are involved. As part of the organization group in San Francisco, we asked President Biden and the U.S. government to continue to not recognize the Taliban as a legitimate government of Afghanistan. We want the U.S. government to recognize the only legitimate leadership of Afghanistan in which the people of Afghanistan support, and that is the National Resistance Front of Afghanistan and its leader, Ahmad Massoud. We want the U.S. government to support the leader of the NRF, Ahmad Massoud, in defending the freedom-loving people of Afghanistan and to not abandon him in this lonely battle against international terrorism. Against international terrorism, as they did to his father, Ahmad Shah Massoud, the national hero of Afghanistan, who was assassinated 2 days prior to the 9/11 attacks. It is time for the world to act, but not to repeat the mistakes and errors of the past. It is time to directly support the very Afghans who are still resisting and trying to save Afghanistan. And those Afghans are the NRF, the National Resistance Front. The beauty of Afghanistan has always been in her diversity, and the NRF, which consists of Afghans from all corners of the country, is fighting for that. For the rights of all citizens of Afghanistan, regardless of their ethnicity, religion, gender, or political differences. The National Resistance Front wants a free and functioning Afghanistan, a respected and internationally recognized government, equality and inclusion for all Afghans, and most importantly, peace to return to Afghanistan after so many decades of war. Stand with the National Resistance Front, stand with Afghanistan, and help us end 4 decades of death and destruction.
کسانی که در سان فرانسیسکو در بیریا هستین لطف کنین بیاین در این مظاهره.
تا خون در رگ ماست مسعود رهبر ماست.
تا خون در رگ ماست مسعود رهبر ماست.
تا خون در رگ ماست مسعود رهبر ماست.
تا خون در رگ ماست مسعود رهبر ماست. تا خون در رگ ماست مسعود رهبر ماست. تا خون در رگ ماست مسعود رهبر ماست. Free free Afghanistan. Free free Afghanistan. Free free Afghanistan. Free free Afghanistan. Taliban are terrorists. Taliban is terrorists. Taliban are terrorists. Taliban are terrorists. Sanction Pakistan. Sanction Pakistan. Sanction Pakistan. Sanction and Pakistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Women's rights in Afghanistan matter.
Women's rights in Afghanistan matter.
Afghanistan united will never be divided.
Afghanistan is divided.
Will never be divided.
Afghanistan united will never be divided.
Afghanistan is united. We never be divided.
Save, save Afghanistan.
Save, save Afghanistan.
Save, save Afghanistan.
Save, save Afghanistan.
From Kandahar to Panjshir, freedom is not for.
Kandahar to Panjshir, freedom is not too far.
Salam, salam, salam.
Alaikum assalam.
Sorry, I have to speak English because my message is for United States President and United Nations. I am here to raise my voice not only for women's rights, for men's rights, which rights men have in our country, for kids' rights, for animal rights. Please, United Nations, help us. That is their job. And also, first of all, I want to thank for Joe Biden because he rejected them. All we want to ask them, please reject the Taliban. Reject the Taliban.
Reject the Taliban.
Mr. Biden, reject the Taliban.
Reject the Taliban.
In support NRF.
Support NRF.
See,
We must all support the National Resistance Front. Support the National Resistance Front.
Support the National Resistance Front.
Amen.
Amen.
thank you so much. Today, we have two special guests. They are coming from Maryland, which is already, you guys, I believe, meet them. Dave Wallace. Right now, I want to introduce him for one office, which is Afghanistan-America Relations Office. And also we have Mr. Sohail Nasri. He is coming all the way down from Virginia. I would like to ask you to please come and see what you have for us, because we are waiting. You are from here, from America. Of course, we talk about America, but I am Afghan American too. Mr. Biden is my president. I am not scared, believe me. I didn't vote for him. I didn't. Please meet me. Please ask my group, our group, to come and meet you. I didn't vote him, and I want to if he doesn't listen to us. We don't ask him for just simple human rights and our rights. That's all we ask. Please meet us. Now you're here. I ask you, please, what you have.
I am honored to be among my friends, my fellow Americans, my fellow Afghanistani Americans, and all Americans who may see us today standing up for liberty from the United States all the way to Afghanistan and around the world. America is the beacon of freedom for all people, but we must hold it dearly in our hearts and to protect it with all we have as Americans, as Afghanis, Afghanistanis, and I want to tell everyone, I am so honored to be with you here today. And I want to especially thank the Ladies of Liberty for Afghanistan, especially this lady right here. I want to thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now, we have a big task, a solemn task, to stand up for the people who have fought and died, the brave men and women of the United States forces, but especially the Afghanistani citizens who have heroically fought against the Taliban, the evil Taliban, and every one of your signs. We want a free Afghanistan. We want to stand with Panjshir. We want to tell the people in Panjshir to stand strong, that the National Resistance Front is the only legitimate power for Afghanistan. Because without the National Resistance Front, there will be no liberty. There will only be tyranny under the Taliban. And we must stand strong against them. And I know every single one of you are suffering this instant. And I grieve as I hear the emotional stories presented to me, both in Washington, where people have been telling me their stories, here in California, and around the world, where people are now being held hostage in their own country. Afghanistan is not the kind of country that can allow this tyranny to exist. We're going to go and make sure as Americans that we stand up for you and with you and endure until such time that Afghanistan is a free country and supporting those rights, those human rights, the dignity that every single man and woman and child receives, because we are a gift from God as children of God, made in His image, made in His likeness, and no man should be suffering the slavery, the tyranny, the rape, and the murder that the Taliban are doing. We need to let the world know that we are coming back. We are going to support you and make sure that you have the tools necessary to fight and defeat this evil that is the Taliban, and never allow them ever to take Kabul or 1 square inch of Afghanistan. And we should never ever allow these Taliban and those people supporting Taliban to ever give sanction in Washington, D.C. again. Because America can never receive their lobbyists. And we especially, I want to end by saying, we can never, ever offer a diplomatic relationship with the Taliban, because they're totally illegitimate, and we have to defeat them. I want to introduce to you my good friend and a leader who has put his whole life on the line, my good friend Sabir Nassari. Sabir Nassari has stood up. Sabir Nassari has stood up for all Afghanistani citizens, and he stood shoulder to shoulder with Americans to make sure that they were held safe, and he helped protect them. And in that protection,
He almost gave up his life. He suffered greatly, pain, both physical and emotional. And yet he stands before us today as the leader of the Afghanistan American Relations Office. And I want to thank him from the bottom of my heart. Here's Mr. Nasseri, and here's the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is the first time I used this type of speaker. That's good. Thank you for holding. Today, we are here to support Afghanistan people, innocent people. We are here today to fight for the right and for the good for all Afghanistan and America people. We love liberty. We need American citizens to help and support the right. Then let's fight together. I so appreciate the opportunity to be here today with you all on this occasion, where we all grieving over the loss of Afghanistan, our beloved home, a home that we love, Afghanistan, and charity, only place on the earth. We are Afghan citizens. We fight for right. We support all human. Not only Afghan or Afghanistan, but we are here to support America as well. Today I'm not sharing the ideas or experiences about immigration. And also Mr. Dave, I really appreciate him. He's not here to talk about your vote in Maryland. He's here today to support people of Afghanistan, to support children. When I asked Mr. Dave, would you please join me to support people of Afghanistan? He said, I can sacrifice my blood for people of Afghanistan. Look how great and hero man we have in America. So let's support Mr. Dave to fight for us, for Congress, for White House. We, as the Afghanistan American Relations Office member, we support Mr. Dave to share our ideas, our hope for White House and to Congress. I'm always talking on behalf of Afghanistan people in Afghanistan to White House and Congress. I know we have 25 advisors, and I know Mr. Dave, one of the senior advisor of Afghanistan American Relations Office, that work with me shoulder by shoulder to support the women of Afghanistan, to support the children of Afghanistan, to support all new refugees of Afghanistan in the United States. And I really appreciate Ms. Sabrina John, that she always asking us to fight for the right. We are not here to fight for the wrong. We are here to fight for the right, for liberty. So thank you so much for inviting me and having me here. I sacrificed my family, my fingers, my body for saving Afghanistan and saving the people, but I'm ready right now to sacrifice my all fingers, hand, leg, for saving Afghanistan and saving Panjshir. I'm not from Panjshir and I'm not from Helmand. I'm from all of Afghanistan. I'm traveling from Virginia and I'm going to Turkey next week to visit the Afghanistan people and Afghan people, and I will go to Germany and also Canada, and also I will go to Abu Dhabi to visit the new refugees and bring their ideas and experiences and share with the White House. But today I will send your message. These documents, which the team will give it to me, we will go to White House and share your experiences and Afghanistan challenges with Congress and Senate on 16th of November, which is next week. And then I will share the good message and bring the message of White House to you all through Afghanistan-American Relations Office Facebook. Thank you so much for having me here. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Free, free Afghanistan! Free, free Afghanistan! Free, free Afghanistan!
Stand with Panjshir!
Stand with Panjshir!
Stand with Ahmad Massoud!
Stand with Ahmad Massoud!
Stand with NRF! Take the Taliban! Taliban are terrorists!
Taliban is terrorists!
Pakistan is Taliban!
Pakistan is Taliban!
Taliban is Pakistan!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban! No more Taliban! No more Taliban! Free, free Afghanistan!
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 Okay. I'm going to introduce you all to Najibullah Raza. He has served in the past for Afghanistan. He was a freedom fighter and he is a strong supporter of the National Resistance Front.
به نام خداوند خالق انسانیت و دوستدار عدالت، دشمن ظلم و وحشت، من حضور تمام شما دوستان حاضر در این همایش سلام عرض میکنم و با ویژه از مهمانان ویژه‌ای که در اینجا حضور دارند، خانم Mr. Dave, Mr. Nasri, Sabrina و فاطمه جان، مارینا جان و دوستای دیگر اینجا حضور دارن، نامشان درست به یادم نمیاد. من بسیار با معذرت که انگلیسی درست صحبت کردن نمیتونم و فارسی برای شما در سه بخش کوتاه صحبت. بخش زمینه سازی آمدن طالبان، حیف و میل حمایت جهان و ویژه امریکا و افغانستان، و دوم ضرورت مقاومت مردم افغانستان علیه گروه تکفیری متعصب مذهبی و قومی. اولی که افغانستان باید همی صحبتهای خود با شعر خود آغاز کنم که بیا ای هموطن، بیا ای هموطن، ای قهرمان، ای جمله مرد و زن، طلسم ظلم و استبداد نیروی فتن بشکن. بیا کلمرغ ظلم و وحشت را منقار قیچی کن. بیا در گلشن وحدت پر زاغ و زغن بشکن. صدای رو بلند از اگر لاسپیکرم خواهیش. افغانستان در شرایطی قرار دارد که به حالت زندان 34 میلیون نفوذ افغانستان در بیدادگاه و در یک زندان بسیار مخوف قرار دارند. اگر 100,000 نفر افغانستانی به امریکا به حمایت امریکا آمده باشد و یا به اروپا برد، 34 میلیون مردم افغانستان، زنان و مردان و اطفال اسیر هستند. امروز جهان، امریکا، مردم افغانستان در فکر نجات مردم افغانستان باشد. یک گروه تکفیری متعصب قومی وابسته به پاکستان، با صراحت بگم، امروز افغانستان به ایالت پنجم یا صوبه پنجم قرار داد. شما چند روز قبل یک هیئت بلندپایه افغانستانی را دیدین، طالبان را که با نخست وزیر پاکستان ملاقات داشتن، بیرق پاکستان بود، افغانستان بیرق نداشت. به این معنا که صحبت بین دو کشور و دو فرهنگ و دو واحد سیاسی نبود، بین یک گروه وابسته و یک گروه حاکم. بنابراین افغانستان اشغال است و یک مشتی از مردمای متعصب نیمچه ملاحه که ملاه درست هم نیست و کاملا بیسواد. امروز وزیر اقتصاد، وزیر عدالت، عدلیه، وزارت‌های سکتور خصوصی و دفاعی افغانستان، حتی در وزارت دفاع، امنیت و داخله، اینا آدم‌های مسلکی نیستند. اینا سواد ندارند. آمدن به سرنوشت یک مردم و یک ملت حاکم شدند. چرا اینا آمدن حاکم شدند؟ 20 سال حکومت‌های جعلی متقلب متعصب انحصارگر آمدن به سرنوشت مردم حاکم شدن. گروه‌های مافیایی قومی تشکیل دادن. گروه‌های مافیایی قومی، وقتی ما میگیم حکومت‌های کرزی و اشرف غنی احمدزی، به این معنا نیست که تنها اینا، معاونینشان و دم و دستگاه و کابینه و پارلمانشان، اینا پولهای جهانی را حیف و میل کردن. اینا دموکراسی جعلی متقلب حاکم ساختن. باور مردم افغانستان با دموکراسی اینا از بین بردن. تمام پولهای جهانی حیف و میل شد. مردم افغانستان توانستند در طول 20 سال دستاورد داشته باشند. دستاورد در ساحه رسانه ها، آزادی بیان، آزادی مطبوعات، حقوق بشر، حقوق زن و اداره و مدیریت و بخش جامعه مدنی و اینا فعال ساختند. 20 سال نهادها و ساختارها شکل گرفت، اما طور رهبری شد افغانستان که دشمن اردوی ملی که امی گروه های وحشی تروریست بودند. هیچ فرقی بین طالبان و القاعده وجود ندارد. هیچ فرقی بین طالبان و داعش وجود ندارد. تو برادران و خواهران، خانم ها و آقایان، یا یک مفکوره هستند، بیرق سیاه و سفید دارند و گاه یک کار زیری او بیرق انجام میدن و گاه کار خود زیری او بیرق دیگه انجام میدن و اینا با سرنوشت یک ملت حاکم شدن. امروز مردم افغانستان تمام ساختارها را از بین بردن. تمام اسرار، رموز افغانستان، اسناد و وسایل و تجهیزات کمک شده توسط جهان و امریکا امروز حیف و میل شد، دزدی شد، غصب شد، به پاکستان داده شد و به همه چیز استخبارات پاکستان تسلط دارد. پس در این زمان آیا شما بگویید که مردم افغانستان و زنان مردان افغانستان به یک مقاومت در برابر امیت و گروه ضرورت دارد یا ندارد؟ پس با امی گروه یگانه جایی که صدای مقاومت را بالا کرد یک مکان نبود. مقاومت ملی مربوط به یک ولایت نیست. مقاومت ملی مربوط به یک قوم نیست. مقاومت ملی مربوط به پنجشیر نیست. ما از افغانستان هستیم، دایه افغانستان شمول داریم، دایه حقوق بشری داریم. مقاومت ملی از حقوق بشر دفاع می کند، مقاومت ملی از حقوق زنان دفاع می کند، مقاومت ملی از اداره و مدیریت و عدالت و حقوق شهروندی دفاع می کند. افغانستان آهسته می رفت که باید از مافیای قومی نجات پیدا بکنن. نسل جدید افغانستان آگاه است، اینا میخواستن آهسته آهسته افغانستان مانند امریکا بر محور عدالت اجتماعی و حقوق شهروندی شکل بگیرد. باید یک هزاره، یک پنجشیری، یک هراتی، یک پکتیاوال، یک قندهاری شهروند قانونمند افغانستان باشه. و اینا آمدن یکی پاس دادن وقتی که طالبان، وقتی که القاعده، وقتی که گروه تکفیری سلفی دشمن افغانستان بود، حکومت‌های کرزی و احمدزی برادران خواندن اینا را. تو برای اردوی ملی انگیزه دشمن ندادن که شما در برابر دشمن قرار دارید. امروز اردوی ملی انگیزه نداشت. فساد اداری تمام سربازایی که در صفوف اول در طی 20 سال کشته شدن، پولش فساد اداری حیف و میل کرد و در غرب و کشورهای دیگه کشیدن. و امروز تمام سربازان و افسران اردوی ملی باز هم توسط استخبارات حاکم به نام داعش اونا اختطاف میشن، کشته میشن و فعلا شبانگاهان. آقا مقدر در افغانستان کوچه کوچه و خانه ظلم است که انعکاس نمی کند. رسانه ها سانسور است. افغانستان مردم یگانه کشی افغانستان که مقاومت نمود و دایه مقاومت بلند که زنان افغانستان بود. امروز اینجا گرداننده محفل ما خانم ها و زنان افغانستان هستند. آگاهان با احساس، جوانان فعال در تمام افغانستان، اروپا و امریکا لطف خداوند حضور دارند. اما یکی شویم با داخل افغانستان وصل شویم و افغانستان را نجات بدیم. حرفای ما بسیار زیاد از وقت کم است، چون ما به انگلیسی صحبت نکردم، بسیار معذرت میکنم. تشکر.
Free Afghanistan! Get rid of Taliban! Free Afghanistan!
Get out of Afghanistan! Get out of Afghanistan! No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
Afghans united! Whatever be divided!
Afghans united will never be divided!
Pakistani Taliban! Get out of Afghanistan!
Pakistani Taliban!
Get out of Afghanistan! Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
There was a team lobbyist of Taliban. The Congress members and some of the Afghanistan supporters reject them, kicked them out from Congress last week. The people said we don't want Taliban lobbyists to work in Congress to support Taliban. That's a good sign for all people of Afghanistan. It means majority of Americans, diplomats, they don't want to recognize Taliban regime. That's a good sign for you. Congrats. And we will work hard to send message from Afghanistan to United States that majority of Afghanistan people, they don't want Taliban and they don't want to live under Taliban umbrella. We are not here to fight just for Panjshir, but we are here to fight for all Afghanistan, for all people of Afghanistan. Thank you.
Stand with Panjshir.
Stand with Panjshir.
Stand with Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
Free Afghanistan.
Free Afghanistan.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
Okay, next we have our Hazara sister, Fatima Jana Tavakuli. If we could please give her a warm welcome. Salam everyone. I want to thank the organizers globally for having this opportunity for us to come together. My name is Fatima Tavakuli. I'm a Hazara Afghan refugee and a senior student here. We are often taught that Hazaras are a minority group in Afghanistan. Hazaras are not a minority group, or nor have they ever been a minority, but they have been forced to become a minority over the course of a century due to the genocide campaign started by Abdurrahman Khan. Hazaras were once the largest population in Afghanistan, but were dwindled for making up to 60% of the country's population to 20%, as about half of them were massacred in 1893 under Abdurrahman Khan's rule. There have been countless attacks directed at Hazaras that were carried out whether under Taliban's regime or by different political parties and other terrorist organizations, such as Mazar Sharif genocide in 1997, direct attacks in Bamiyan, multiple attacks in Dashtabarchi, predominantly the Hazara populated district in Kabul. November 13, which was yesterday, an explosion took place in Dashtabarchi, killed 6 people. Most recently, 9 ethnic Hazara men were massacred by Taliban after taking control of the Ghazni province. The Taliban attacks on Jahuri, Uruzgan and Malistan. Suicide attacks on Maiwan Wrestling Club in Kabul. Suicide attacks on Maudud Educational Center. Suicide attacks on Taskara Center. Suicide attacks on Imam Zaman Mosque. Suicide attacks on Baghirul Ulum Mosque. Attacks on schools, mosques and public places. And also 15 villages in Daikundi, a Hazara populated city, that have been forced and threatened with forced immigration. The operation against Hazara people is both ethnic and religious. October 15th this year, a large explosion attack took place on a Shia mosque in Kandahar, killed 68 people. Also, resistance is not a new concept to Hazaras in Afghanistan. We have always tried to speak up and resist various tyrant regimes throughout the history, but have constantly been silenced by our non-Hazara Afghan people and government. Hazaras have always made efforts to defend their rights and freedom as Afghan citizens, but unfortunately never received the same care and protection as other Afghan citizens from the government or much of the diaspora. For instance, Alipur, he has been fighting for Hazara rights for many years now without anyone's support. National Resistance Forces of Afghanistan can avoid yet another massacre genocide in Afghanistan. Let's not forget what Taliban said in the 90s. They said Tajiks to Tajikistan, Uzbeks to Uzbekistan, and Hazaras to Kurdistan, which is graveyard. And the world should know that Taliban has not changed. They are terrorists and must not rule Afghanistan. And I want the world to know, we don't want rights from Taliban, and we will never recognize them as our legit government. And that's what we want from international nations too, to never recognize them as Afghanistan's legit leaders. By doing that, you will prevent another 9/11. Winter months are approaching and 34 million people in Afghanistan are marching towards this salvation. In the meantime, Taliban are busy normalizing terrorism, killing innocent civilians, and severely restricting people's fundamental human rights, especially girls' rights to education, as well as executions and torture of marginalized sections of society. failure from the international community to address the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan can lead to famine and humanitarian catastrophe. Stand with us, stand with the resistance forces. Thank you.
Thank you. تا خون در رگ ماست مسعود رهبر ماست.
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 Stand with Ahmad Massoud.
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 Ahmad Massoud stands against terrorism.
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 Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Stand with NRF.
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 Stand with Afghanistan.
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 Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Save, save 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 Afghanistan.
We want America to arrest President Ghani, the ex-president, for the torture, for the stealing of billions of dollars from Afghanistan budget. Him and his wife and his two other colleagues and his party. His group. You know me, Mr. Sabri, me and you were 7 years together working. I really support you, appreciate you. I remember when you were hit by IED, by Taliban, and we witnessed what you went through. Like you, many others that standing here, we are like veterans. We are actually more than that. We sacrificed ourselves for Afghanistan human rights, women human rights. And we want you, as a representative of Afghan Americans, come up to the podium. Come up to the podium. I want to hug her because I haven't seen her for a long time.
Could you repeat again?
One more time. Say again.
In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Sorry if I don't speak perfectly English, but I was a combat translator in Afghanistan for more than 7 years. I'm very feeling proud to be here today, standing next to my ex-colleague, our partner that we were working together, fighting against Taliban, Mr. Sabri. I'm proud of him. He helped Afghanistan a lot and he's still helping. We want Mr. Sabri and Mr. Dave and like him many other representatives to go tell President Biden, arrest President Ashraf Ghani for millions of dollars that he has stolen from Afghanistan. Why they are quiet? Why they do not arrest him and his team? Millions of $2.5 trillion spent in Afghanistan in 20 years. Tens and thousands of lives of our American soldiers, military, our Afghan military lost in Afghanistan. For what? West? Why nobody is rising and arresting the people who are guilty for that? Like President Ashraf Ghani, Ahmed Karzai. We want the United Nations to do not recognize Taliban as a regime in Afghanistan or their presidency. They are being supported by Pakistan Intelligence Service, ISI. I'm not afraid, and I will not. I was 16 when I joined as a combat translator in Afghanistan, on and off, and after that I continued for a long time. I'm proud to be here to represent as an Afghan American against Taliban. Taliban are attacking people at nighttime. They go to their houses, they take them out, they get disappeared, and their families never see them again. But daytime, the media in Afghanistan broadcasting, oh, they are good. They are actually evil. Women in Afghanistan have no right. Girls cannot be at school or being in bazaar freely. We want the President Biden to open his eyes and arrest President Ashraf Ghani and his team, and do not support the Taliban and do not recognize them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What we all said today, I have a statement for our president, Mr. Joe Biden. You are our president. I am Afghan American. I don't feel good today. If you go watch all Europe, Canada, they go by U.S. Embassy office, and they say American terrorist. I don't want to hear that again. Please, I have a statement for all group, and I want to pass it for Afghanistan American Relation Office, Mr. Nasiri, to take it to Sana'a and go to Mr. Joe Biden.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will keep my promises that I mentioned before, and I will take this and I will give it to Senator Loomis. Senator Loomis is representative of Senator for Wyoming, and also she is replaced of majority of Senator of Northern Virginia as well. And also we have Congressman Dave and also Congressman Dana Robacher. And Mr. Dana Robacher mentioned yesterday, last night, that bring the message, give it to me, and I will give it to the Congress and to the White House. Me and Mr. Dana Robacher, we will go on 7th of December. We have appointment with White House, and I will give this message. I'm not opening and I'm not touching it. I will give it to the White House for you to support Afghanistan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Today we are gathered here in solidarity for our beloved countrymen and women in Afghanistan. The ones innocently killed for simply defending their motherland, for the dying youth who will not surrender, for our brave journalists and courageous news anchors and reporters, for the hundreds who are no longer with us today, our educators, our judges, relentless protesters, fearless soldiers, bright students and academics, mothers, fathers, and children who are to this day being beaten, hanged, brutally harassed, martyred, and their basic human rights being stripped away from them. for our brothers and sisters facing war crimes in all parts of Afghanistan, from Paktika, Daikundi, Baghlan, Faryab, Ghazni, Badakhshan, or Panjshir. Whether you're Hazara, Tajik, Pashtun, or Sikh, we are here and we see your pain and suffering. The lives lost to the Taliban are too innumerable. Another casualty, another explosion, another hospital, mosque, school bombed and destroyed. We are traumatized, physically, mentally, emotionally, bearing decades of civil unrest. Yet we will not surrender. Afghan men, especially women, strove in the face of harsh obstacles to be a part of progressive civil society. Now they have simply nothing. No liberty or the right to gain an education, work, or live a normal life. We are all here standing today to reject and refuse the barbaric, illiterate, uncivilized, despotic ideologies of the Taliban. This fascist, terrorist group fundamentally contradicts democracy, pluralism, equality, and liberty for all. They're against education, equality, freedom of speech, press, religion, and the right to vote. All basic fundamental human rights that we practice here today. The Taliban do not represent our beautiful religion. Islam is not a religion of hate, misogyny, violence, or oppression. Yet it is a religion that promotes brotherhood, equality, justice, peace, understanding, egalitarianism, and tolerance. The Taliban have taken advantage of our religion for their political ends, destroying all that we have worked so hard for the past 20 years, from the arts, women participating along men in all sectors of society. They're against culture, music, museums, libraries, sports, all that which had flourished in all parts of Afghanistan. This is not Taliban 2.0. Do not fall for their manipulative propaganda. This is the same terrorist group whose backwards ideology is causing thousands of Afghans to flee their country. They have shut down schools, forced women to stop working, physically abusing and kidnapping young women as sex slaves, going door to door to kill women journalists and activists, firing them with bullets as they protest for their rights on the streets. We must not let history repeat itself. We're here to tell the world that we have not given up. We will never recognize the Islamic Emirat as our current government in Afghanistan. We are principally here to condemn the Pakistan for invading our country, to the blacklisted terrorist organization, the Taliban, for killing our youth and future generation year after year, for sending your terrorists on our land. We're here to denounce the Pakistani intelligence service, ISI, for producing, supporting, training, equipping, and aiding the Taliban. We are here to expose your true intentions. Standing here, it is my duty and responsibility as an Afghan American to demand the land of the free, the home of the brave, to stand with the Afghans, not to leave us in the hands of murderers, not to neglect us in this catastrophe. We are disappointed with your decision to leave Afghanistan. Not only did we not expect the U.S. to leave Afghanistan in the hands of the most oppressive, morally bankrupt terrorist group, but the world did not expect this from you. Your disastrous foreign policy has caused a bloodbath that's too late to clean up. To the international community, please do not disappoint us. Your silence speaks volumes. The time has come now to show your solidarity, camaraderie, and support, but turning your cheek is a slap on ours. It is a shame on the world leaders for not condemning Pakistan. Shame on Muslim countries for your silence. Thank you for revealing to us whose side you're truly on. Last but not least, shame on Ashraf Ghani, Hamid Karzai, and Zalmay Khalilzad.
Yes.
Academy of the Taliban. You have disgraced and betrayed your country and will always be known in history as failures. We are gathered here today to send a clear message. We want a sovereign democracy where women and men can live without the fear of persecution, for the right to work, to get an education, to vote freely, and pursue their life dream aspirations. Right now, Afghanistan is in a chaos, the number of deaths rising while the country is in a humanitarian crisis. Famine, citizens living in extreme conditions and poverty amidst this COVID pandemic. I would like to thank the international community and nations for providing humanitarian assistance and sanctuary to Afghan refugees. for the numerous organizations and activists that are using their platform to advocate and support the international resistance against the Taliban. We will speak for truth and justice and not give up. We will resist stronger than ever before. We will persevere the legacy. We will preserve the legacy of our past heroes and leaders who have died with dignity and resistance. We will never be a pawn in someone else's game. We will always be Afghanistan. Thank you so much.
Next we have Walijan Musayar. He's going to share some donations and information about where you can donate and what organizations you can donate with. And he's going to speak regarding the humanitarian aid crisis in Afghanistan.
Hello. All right, Assalamualaikum everybody. Many of you are wondering why we are going to speak about humanitarian aid at an NRF against the Taliban protest. We have been contacted by many people that if we are resisting against the Taliban, that we are saying no aid for Afghanistan. So I wanted to speak a little bit about how we can get aid to Afghanistan and resist the Taliban at the same time. After years of progression and hope, Afghanistan fell under the hands of Western nepotism and extortion, becoming an international political playground. During this time, millions of dollars, if not billions, were taken out of Afghanistan and stripped the country of all of its resources. According to Frontline PBS, last year, 90% of Afghans lived on an income of less than $2
نجیب جان امی امریکان باید خجالت بکشه 50 استیت است 50 بیرق داره.
Need humanitarian aid. Just when they thought it couldn't get worse, Afghanistan collapsed in the blink of an eye. What was left of the country's funds is now in control of the U.S. and other powerhouses, while millions of Afghan citizens starve to death. The United Nations identified the situation in Afghanistan as the world's worst humanitarian crisis. An estimated 3.2 million children under the age of 5 will suffer from acute malnutrition by the end of the year. Meanwhile, the creators of these parameters have all turned their backs and walked away with no accountability. Where is Ashraf Ghani in these jails and these prosecutions and these courthouses? He's roaming freely right now. Afghanistan has yet again experienced significant turmoil as a result of corruption, greed, and inhumane leadership. The cost of food has risen, unemployment has escalated, families are unable to access their bank accounts, employees have not been paid for months, and millions have been displaced from their homes. The World Food Program assessed that only 1 in 20 Afghan households had enough to eat. And as winter approaches, most Afghans would be forced to choose between starvation, which child to sell, and even life or death. The world is immune to hearing about deaths and catastrophes in our country. Our crisis is being mimicked as entertainment to fill the pockets of Hollywood stars, while the men and women who endangered themselves to stand with the U.S. Army in Afghanistan are fighting for their lives. The time is now where we ask the world to stand with us and show them that Afghan lives matter just as much as any other life. This is where the power of the people comes to play. What are we going to do to help the crisis that is going on back home? What are we going to do to ensure that our country and its people don't diminish and become part of a historical timeline? First off, we need to make sure that we unite and remember that everyone shares the same goal of peace, freedom, safety, and equality for all Afghans. Our fight isn't against each other, it's to save our entire country. Luckily, we still have organizations like the Masood Foundation and the Bayat Foundation that is making it easier for us to help. We are being told that because we are resisting the Taliban, there is no way to help. These organizations are the epitome of humanitarian aid. Masood Foundation is providing food, medicine, satellite communications, NGO relief, and so much more with the donations they are receiving. In the words of the Shade of Panjshir, Ahmad Shah Masood, we consider this as part of our duty to defend humanity. And surely his foundation is doing exactly what was the vision of our leader, Mr. Masood. In addition, we have the Bayat team who is currently on ground in Afghanistan and have been actively assisting thousands of displaced families since mid-August. Myanmar Foundation is a leading humanitarian group with over thousands of projects under their belt. They are plentiful in resources inside of Afghanistan and have access to thousands of volunteers that will distribute in a timely manner. They have sent over thousands of meals this past week to Afghanistan. United Afghan Association is working with Myanmar Foundation's We Give So They May Live campaign. If you scan this QR code, you are able to see the project's efforts on how to get humanitarian aid into Afghanistan. If you and I can help Afghanistan, how can these powerhouses say that they are not able to help Afghanistan? The need for help is rapidly growing, and these organizations and large efforts will depend on community members like you and I to help. So please, shift your focus on voicing for the people left behind in their dire situations today. In the words of Dr. Ihsan Bayat, chairman of this foundation, we want to be a voice of hope. And as I wrap up, I'd like to have you all join United Afghans Association and ask and fight for the global support by calling your senators, signing petitions to send funds, and most importantly, texting the word AID to 52886. This will auto-generate a letter and send to Washington, D.C. and ask for help in every aspect of the humanitarian crisis, from refugee aid to standing with NRF to sending aid to Afghanistan, all of it. Whether it's us getting together today, standing for our people, donating $1 to Afghanistan, donating a coat to a refugee, or sending an email, you never know how much impact it can make. In the last few weeks, United Afghans Association have discovered that one email can lead to a $5 million donation or enough funding to meal 1,000 kids back home. We are amazed at the creativity of our Afghan community and their willingness to help and the impacts we've all been making. Afghanistan is not just some news headline that is going to disappear. Whether it is a Tajik, a Pashtun, an Hazara, a Shia, a Sunni, a male or a female, they deserve better than this. They deserve better than being a victim of oppression caused by the international political affairs and our corrupt leaders. So together, let's make sure that we give them our efforts so that they may live. Give them our efforts, our donations, and our support. And make sure we resist so that we can have a peaceful Afghanistan in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
Stand with Afghanistan!
Stand with Afghanistan!
Peace for Afghanistan!
Peace for Afghanistan!
Stand with Panjshir!
Stand with Panjshir!
Stand with Afghanistan!
Stand with Afghanistan!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Zindabad Afghanistan!
Sanction Pakistan!
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 Reject the Taliban!
Reject the Taliban!
Reject the Taliban!
Reject the Taliban!
Sanction Pakistan!
Sanction Pakistan!
Sanction Pakistan!
Sanction Pakistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Stand with Panjshir!
Stand with Panjshir!
Stand with Panjshir!
Stand with Panjshir!
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and do a small march. We are creating our own routes. Just go ahead and follow myself and Lloyd John. We'll take us actually. We're actually going to go ahead.
شمسی جان اینجا مظاهره هست به ضد طالبان و تروریست در سان فرانسیسکوی کالیفرنیا و مهمان داریم از واشنگتن دی سی. آقای ناصری آمدن و همچنان آقای دیو، مستر دیو آمدن، دیو وانسون، کاندید سناتور امریکا که این پیام این مظاهره را پیام ما را به کاخ سفید میرسانند.
So, first of all, myself, this is Iqbal Gausi. I run an NGO called Freedom Support Alliance. I'm not here for that today. I'm here as an Afghan American to support the movement and the national resistance for Afghanistan. So, well, like I said, I want to thank everybody for being here right now. I came from a long way myself, and this is a great start. We got to keep this going. I support this fully myself as a person, as a human being, as an Afghan, and this is what I'm going to say. Human beings are members of a whole. Human beings are members of a whole in the creation from one essence and soul. If one member is afflicted with pain, other members uneasy will remain. If you do not feel sympathy for human pain, the name of a human you shall not retain. So there is no way that Afghans across the planet see what is going on to their beautiful land and their people, and their hearts won't bleed. That is why we're all here today. I know we all have personal lives. I still appreciate all of you coming here. I didn't even know most of the people here before I joined, and I appreciate our brother Sohail Rock to be here and pass everybody's voice, the Afghan voice, to the elected officials in Congress and the Senate. And I would like to personally appreciate everybody else, all the organizers, for spending their time and their efforts in putting this together. This is happening across multiple cities. And please share everything with your friends, with your families. And I personally believe to save Afghanistan, it's not going to just take the Afghans. It's going to take those American service members who provided services in Afghanistan, interpreters and American veterans. We built Afghanistan with our Afghan partners. So now we're here because American service members who gave their lives in defense and freedom of Afghanistan and the United States, they are in pain as we are right now. And I am connected with a large number of veterans. I have a special operations background myself, and we're working resettlement and humanitarian evac efforts to get our loved ones out of there. So if there's someone that we can assist, please connect with us or with Medina John, and we'll do everything we can. But one thing I want to say personally over here, this is not going to take just me, you, or the other. This is going to take we, not me, we, every single person, every Afghan, every human being that they feel for Afghanistan and their heart beats for all the innocent lives being perished under terrorism. Please stand here today, be with the resistance, provide what you can, and let's save our people and our country, inshallah. May God be with us. Thank you all for showing up. Love Afghanistan and support the resistance across the country and global. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Hikmajan. So before we start our march, we have one message from Commander Registani. We would like to play that for everyone to hear.
Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Reject the Taliban!
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 Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan! Hurry up, hurry up!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
And Hazara genocide!
And Hazara genocide!
And Hazara genocide!
And Hazara genocide!
I'm Panjshir genocide.
And Panjshiri genocide.
And Panjshiri genocide.
And Panjshiri genocide.
Stand with Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
No to Taliban.
No to Taliban.
No to Taliban.
No to Taliban. و اسپیکر دیگه چرا داخل بردن؟ چون بلوتوث بود اسپیکر دیگه بلوتوث بود. نمی‌تاکه هستن. Hassan, could you set up the Bluetooth pretty fast so you can play a message on the phone?
Yeah, one of them died.
See if
Bayat Foundation Adoza از پورت میامی در افغانستان و کنتینرها نان روان میکنه های ویتامین های نوتریانت رفتن روان میکنه افزایش ویدیوهای تفاوت میکنن
موتر د پوینز د پورت
موتر د پورت است
که بس بریم ملاقات چی کنیم
خب Is that an earphone? Is that an earphone? Yeah. Can you connect it with the Bluetooth? Yeah. Connect it with her.
Thank you, Alijan.
Oh, is it working? Oh, it's connected. Wait, hold on. Is that mine?
There you go.
America.
Hold on.
There you go.
This message is from Commander Rekistani. He has a special message that was for our global movement today.
America و همه جهان. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. هموطنان عزیز در اروپا، امریکا و همه جهان، به نمایندگی از رهبری جبهه مقاومت و همسنگران شما در داخل کشور سلام عرض می کنم. هموطنان گرامی، صدای عدالت خواهی شما در خارج کشور به هیچ صورت کمتر از دفاع در سنگرهای مقاومت نبوده، بلکه با اهمیت تر از آن می باشد. مبارزه نظامی ما و فعالیت‌های سیاسی و مدنی شما مانند دو بال پرنده نجات است و بدون آن امکان پرواز وجود ندارد. شما با این اجتماعات بزرگ صدای مردم ستمدیده افغانستان را به گوش جهانیان میرسانید تا از به رسمیت شناختن گروه طالبان اجتناب ورزند. این شما هستید که به کشورهای جهان هشدار میدهید که به رسمیت شناختن گروه طالبان به معنی به رسمیت شناختن داعش، القاعده و تمام گروه‌های تروریستی جهان است. این شما هستید که در کنار زنان شجاع در داخل کشور ندای مظلومیت زنان را در برابر این گروه زنستیز و ستمگر به گوش جهانیان میرسانید. این شما هستید که از آن خواهر مظلوم اما شجاع که مورد لطوکوب و اهانت طالبان ستمگر قرار گرفته است دفاع میکنید. آن خواهر مظلوم که بار دیگر دستگیر گردیده و نهادهای حقوق بشری خاموشند. جبهه مقاومت در داخل کشور نیز مدافع آن ارزش‌هایی است که امروز در این تظاهرات بزرگ شما از آن نمایندگی میکنید. گروه وابسته طالبان از همان آغاز پیدایش خود برای منافع پاکستان می جنگید و حالا هم می خواهد افغانستان را به صوبه پنجم پاکستان تبدیل نماید. اما ملت ما بیدار است. این گروه مرتجع از زمان اشغال کشور به فهرست جنایات خود افزوده است که ممانعت دختران و زنان از تحصیل و کار، سرکوب رسانه ها، دستگیری های شبانه، داخل شدن به خانه های مردم، شکنجه در زندان ها، غصب املاک مردم، دزدی موترها، قتل های هدفمند و نمونه اخیر ضرب و شتم دختران پاکتینت کشور از آن جمله می باشد. این گروه ظالم و ستمگر برای مردم ما فقر، ناامنی، بدبختی و تنگدستی را به ارمغان آورده است. در میان این همه خبرهای تأثرآور باید بگویم که اختلاف درونی این گروه بیرحم مانند یک بم ساعتی به مرحله انفجار نزدیک شده است و زود باشد که اینها به جان هم بیفتند و یک دیگر را بدرند. چنانچه بارها گفته ایم، یک بار دیگر تکرار میکنیم که مقاومت همسنگران شما در داخل کشور نه تنها ادامه دارد بلکه در سرتاسر کشور در حال گسترش است. با امید روزی که وطن عزیز ما از اشغال این گروه خشونت پیشه و مداخله پاکستان آزاد گردد. حق بر باطل پیروز خواهد شد. این وعده خدای رحمان است.
Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
All right, guys.
We're going to start our march, but in respect for our elders who are in a wheelchair, please allow them to start their march, then we'll go behind them. Okay. Behind us will be a truck, and in front of us will be the elders.
Which way you are going?
Raise your hand.
Which way? This one?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
No more Taliban!
Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
US, clean your mess!
US, clean your mess!
US, clean your mess!
US, clean your mess!
Taliban in Pakistan, get out of Afghanistan!
Taliban in Pakistan, get rid of Afghanistan!
Taliban in Pakistan, get out of Afghanistan!
Taliban in Pakistan, get rid of Afghanistan!
Taliban in Pakistan, get out of Afghanistan!
Taliban in Pakistan, get rid of Afghanistan!
Peace for 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 Afghanistan!
Afghan rights are human rights!
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 Stand with Panjshir!
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 Every last American soldier!
تا خون در رگ ماست مسعود رهبر ماست.
تا خون در رگ ماست
مسعود رهبر ماست.
Free
Afghanistan!
Afghanistan!
Afghanistan! Free Afghanistan!
We want justice!
We want justice!
We want freedom!
We want freedom!
We want justice!
We want justice!
We want freedom!
We want freedom!
Pakistan and Taliban, get out of Afghanistan!
Pakistan is Taliban, get rid of Afghanistan!
Afghan rights are human rights!
Afghan rights are human rights!
Afghan rights are human rights!
Afghan rights
Afghan rights are human rights!
Afghan rights are human rights!
Afghans united will never be divided!
Afghans united will never be divided!
Afghans united will never be divided! Afghans united will never be divided!
نجیب جان کامنتایت منفی است مگرم نمیخوایم خفه بسازمت. گفتی که این نشان میدهد که مردم همراه شما نیست. ما اینمی مردم مرد کار داریم، ما در اینجا نامرد کار نداریم همراه ما باشه.
Stand with Afghans! Stand with Afghans!
Stand with Afghans!
Stand with Afghans!
Stand with Afghans!
We want peace! We want justice!
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 Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan! Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
Free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Taliban in Pakistan.
Taliban is Pakistan.
Taliban in Pakistan. Get out of Afghanistan.
Taliban is Pakistan.
Afghan rights are human rights.
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 Stand with Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
We want freedom. We want peace.
We want peace. We want peace.
We want freedom. 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 We want peace.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
Never sacrifice liberty for peace.
Never sacrifice liberty for peace.
Guys, یک لاین ایلا کن که مطالعات شد. همین لاین ایلا کنین. لاین ایلا کنین مطالعات شد. هم یک لاین بند تو بسه. خوب نیست. با دیگه یک لاین ایلا بند نیست که. Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Pakistan and Taliban.
Pakistan.
Afghanistan.
Pakistan is Taliban. Get rid of Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
Peace for Afghanistan.
Peace for Afghanistan.
We want freedom. We want peace.
We want peace. We want peace.
We want freedom. 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 We want peace.
No more Taliban.
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 Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Peace for Afghanistan.
Peace for Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
We want freedom. We want peace.
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 We want justice.
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 Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
No more Taliban.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
Stand with Afghanistan.
We want freedom. We want peace.
We want freedom. We want peace.
We want justice. We want peace.
We want justice. We want peace.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan. ما بیتریم 13 پرسن مانده اگر خطا شد از تلفن دیگه از فیسبوک سهیل صفدری باشین از اون دیگه میرم از این شیر میکنم ختم میکنم دوباره شیر میکنم